This is Quake for the Sega Saturn. This version of Quake was converted by a company called Lobotomy Software, who had created a game called Exhumed, at least in Europe, and this was called Power Slave in the US. Exhumed used its own engine, and this was specifically created for the Saturn's hardware. And when Sega wanted a version of Quake for their machine, as far as I know, id Software were having trouble porting the original Quake engine over to the Saturn. So what Lobotomy did was to take their own engine and then make a game which looked and felt just like Quake. So they reused all the textures, but if I remember correctly, the levels were created by hand. So they had a copy of Quake on the right and the development kit on the left, and they just had to recreate the levels from eye. So it's more of a total conversion rather than a port. So as you can see here, this introduction section's a little bit different. Right, let's do normal. I think the soundtrack's a bit different. If you take the PC version, it's more of a metal soundtrack. That lighting effect's new. Yeah, it's more of a heavy metal soundtrack. But if you listen to it, there's a few voice samples, and if you play it backwards, it says, "I work too much, I sleep too much." Go and put the CD in and see if you can hear it. Right, so off the bat you can see this is incredibly smooth. There are a few differences in the levels. Certain walls look slightly, not in the wrong place, but they're either too high or too low. Ooh, crumbs. I'm sure that's different. I think on the PC version that lift was 90 degrees to the left when you exit. Maybe it's just my imagination. It's still hard. That water's a bit different. Oh, angry dog. Have I found that up? Nope. Looks like all the secrets in the PC game are still... What? Why is it chucking me off? Ah. Give it one more go. Yeah, all the secrets in the PC game seem to be here. And as far as I know, all the levels are intact as well. Ah. I think this is the quad damage. Yeah. It's quite interesting to see that Quake has such a good version on the Saturn, whereas Doom had a, I don't want to say terrible conversion, but the conversion was a bit jerky. You know, the frame rate wasn't exactly great, and I think it's just a case of this game having the luxury of being built around an engine which is supported properly by the hardware, rather than the raycasting engine that Doom used to use. Ah, back at the start. At least I know where we're going now. As far as I know, this lighting effect is new. Exhumed had a cool effect where if you fire something like a light ball that emits light down the corridor, then it lights up the walls, which is quite cool. I don't think the original Quake did that. Uh-oh, I'm short on health. Lobotomy also created a port of Duke Nukem for the Saturn, but I think whilst that game technically is just as impressive as this, I think it lost a lot of the feeling of the original. Perhaps by feeling I mean character. I think... Oh, pay attention. Uh-oh, short on health. I think this game, the engine was much more similar to the exhumed engine than Duke Nukem, whereas with Duke Nukem, the build engine, it seems different enough that it changes the character of the game, if that makes sense. Right. Get my quad damage again. I'll have to do a video on that next. That's different to the PC. That's a lot easier. With the PC version, you've got to jump and hit a small target to open that door. But this definitely is Quake. It looks and feels like Quake, so can't complain. I'm not sure if this is harder than the original, or whether it's just my playing is not as good as I remember it. Sorry, dog. That was an ordeal. Oh, I forgot about this guy. Looks like a troll with a chainsaw. Ah! Player was destroyed by an ogre. Ogre, troll, same thing. And he throws grenades. Leave me alone. I like this water effect. Let's give this one last go. I can't remember if this came out on the original PlayStation. I know there was an N64 version. Although if I remember correctly, Quake 2 came out on the PS1. So it does make you wonder if this engine could have done Quake 2 as well. I think that would have been a feather in the Saturn's cap. Right, I think I'll leave it there. It's clearly been too many years since I played this game. I need a bit more practice. So hopefully you've had an idea of how this game plays on the Saturn, which is quite well. I think graphically this game looks, impressive. It certainly runs at a smooth frame rate, but the game feels a little bit different in its gameplay. And the levels are slightly different, but the control system just doesn't quite feel like Quake. That's even worse. Right, I think that's me beaten. Thanks for watching.